And today's conversation is going to be actually led by Ken Huizinga. Ken has a lot of experience. He was one of the first people to buy, I think, a JETvarnish in North America. He was one of the first ones with a 3DS and had to figure out a lot of stuff on his own, and has a lot of technical knowledge, I think, that we can use to kind of dig into his experiences and kind of figure out what we want to figure out and have good conversations. So without further ado, Ken, why don't you take it away, buddy?
Good morning, everybody. Great to see you all here. Kevin pretty much summed it up great. I was in the trenches for a long time, and hopefully have some technical advice, but I got to be honest, the last couple of meetings, best stuff that we've heard has come from you operators. So it's been fantastic. I've learned a lot. Real quick, if we could go around and introduce ourselves, that would be great. Andrew, you want to start?
Sure. Is this me, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure there wasn't another one on the call. Andrew Smith. I'm the Vice President of Sales of the county. Also handle some of our more high-profile accounts, and I'm in mainly my customers fall into the education and manufacturing sectors. A lot of customers in the marine industry, and so having the JETvarnish and the NGI machine paired with a couple of other machines in our facility has really been great to be able to get me in the door and things like that. So we've been talking with Kevin on a pretty regular basis, and then also joining these meetings. So really just kind of trying to understand exactly what these machines can do, what's available out there, what are some market trends and things like that. So
awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Adam, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Adam Stewart. I own and operate the JETvarnish 3DL. I own a company called Fresh Prints, and I am partnered up with a bigger print company called Bluestem Integrated, and they also employ me to run their HP Indigo. And we've had the JETvarnish in for about 2 years now, and it's changed everything. So we're looking forward to continuing to grow.
Cool. Excellent. Robin, how about you?
Oh, hi, I'm Robin. I'm from Print Panther in Oakville. We have we just got a brand new Evo, and it's quite the upgrade. We had a 3DS before that, and it's a beautiful machine. I'm new to the industry. I was a chef for the longest time. I've just been working at Print Panther for just over a year, so kind of just learning the ropes, and I hope I can glean some good information from today.
So now you're mixing up embellishment projects and design.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Great. Awesome. Hi, Al. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Al Chemical. Our company is a chemical group. We're in Savannah, Georgia. We're a 131-year-old family business. I also have Andrew Smith, my VP of Sales, on the call as well. And we've got the JETvarnish, and we really underutilized it, but we're now trying to really make it a big part of what we're doing.
Excellent. Well, this morning I thought we might get started by just finding out if you've had any topics in the last 4 weeks that.
Ken, I think we got a new we got Gerardo came in. Maybe Gerardo, how are you doing,
Gerardo,
man?
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed you.
Hello, fine. I'm sorry I'm late.
Good to see you again.
Hello again. Thank you.
All right.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Gerardo Castillo. I'm from Monterrey, Mexico, and we have JETvarnish 3DS.
Awesome, great. So, like I said, what's come up in the last 4 weeks, guys? Have you had anything that's been a challenge or that you're super proud of? We'd love to hear about it.
I think Adam, let's start with you, because I know that we had a meeting on the last call about doing foil, and Gerardo, you showed us your 8-pass Christmas card that you did a couple years ago. That's the one where we're doing foil and soft touch on top of the foil, and then you were doing. you want to kind of show us what you learned and how you applied that, Adam, on that ridiculous project you sent me a picture of?
Yeah. So we did. I think we were one of the first kind of experiment with. We did. We just basically printed our registration dots on a white sheet, and that's all that was printed in black. And over that sheet, we then put gold foil down and pretty much flood coated it, which we know how fun that is. But got my settings right. It actually looked really well. So then we decided we wanted to put a soft touch laminate over that foil, which does seem ridiculous because like who would want to put a matte soft touch laminate over a nice shiny foil? But we tried it out and worked with another foil on top of that soft touch laminate. And then we also spot varnished it, which it came out pretty incredible. So you see your gold back here is your flood gold. And then over top of that is your matte soft touch laminate.
Wow.
And then you lay down your blue foil. And then you lay down your spot varnish.
Good Lord.
That's amazing.
Good Lord.
What were the biggest challenges when you did that?
The flood coat gold. You've got to you have to go slow. You got to go slow, and you got to give separation in between your sheets because you don't want to starve the machine.
All right. So you reduced your speed, and did you do a certain thickness that you figured worked really well for that application?
I did 31, but I found out after that I could go down to 25 because really, as long as you look good, that soft touch laminate is going to protect anything that you do with that first layer of foil. So I think 25 would work. I haven't went any lower than that, but I think this particular one is at 31.
Adam, you gotta hold on to that. Submit that for the Gold Leaf Awards next year, man. That's an absolute winner. That's a great piece.
Yeah.
Did you have to wait 24 hours before you laminated over the top of the foil?
No, we went straight from foil to laminate.
Wow.
We do. The only thing we ever really wait on is when we have a lot of coverage with our varnish. We all stand those up and let those cure as long as we can. But no, if you're putting that soft touch over there, just go straight to the laminator.
Looks like you had some great foil adhesion. Whose foil did you use for that project?
Oh, let's see. I think fairly certain the gold was Kerr's, and the I think the blue was Kerr's as well, but it might have been Crown.
Very cool. Are you guys out there discovering any new foils or any new manufacturers that's coming out with some good stuff for you yet, or do we want to talk about that?
Actually, here in Mexico, Coors didn't want to sell the digital foil. They told us that they were exclusive to their equipment, the digital metal foil for sleeking. And by mistake, they sent me one roll. Let me see what happened. And I did some sleeking on the 3DS. And it looks well. It's plain. And yesterday they sent me a proper varnish roll for the
oh, look at that.
JETvarnish. And they tell me that this foil is for their Steinman presses. So they're very limited, and they have a reserve system that you have to pre-order in Germany, so they can sell it to you. But there have so many. They sent me to catalog, and maybe I can get some white foil. I haven't seen any other manufacturer try to make white and have certain beautiful holographics. But I wanted to ask you if you have tried, any one of you have tried Liberty foils, their holographic gold.
I was not able to get that digitally. I didn't know that Liberty had expanded into that realm. Most of those special effect foils I was able to get from Crown.
Yeah.
And the other foil that I really like to use, although they didn't have a lot of special colors, was K-Laser. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're in California, and they would probably happily send you foil. I found their adhesion fantastic.
Yeah, they're great.
What temperature were you able to sleek that job at, the first job at you showed us, Gerardo?
This one is like, I could actually, it was at 150 centigrade. 150 Celsius.
Yeah. 150.
Okay, well that's pretty good because usually you have to push close to 180 for that. So I'm sure that foil roller is going to be happy that you're not cranking it all the way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I have a question talking about sleeking. Have you guys ever tried to put a JETvarnish 3D varnish, just varnish build through a sleeker and have it foil that way? Because I know some people on this call have actually tried that. Is there any feedback, any tips and tricks on how to do that if somebody doesn't have an iFoil, for example?
I don't have any experience.
You
No.
mean with a laminator, Kevin?
Yeah.
I mean, I did it. Biggest struggle was curling.
The curling?
Yeah, if you can get them to snap off and not curl too bad, I found it to be great, fantastic even. But you're stuck with gold and silver, I believe. I don't even know if they make silver, do they?
Well, you'd use a JETvarnish compatible foil, put that in basically like a Nobella sleeker or a laminator, and then have that act as like a mini iFoil. You wouldn't have the same throughput, but I know some people who don't have an iFoil. Is that a workaround? Is that something that we can test? Normally should work, right? It's the same process. So I don't know if anybody had any feedback on how
It's
to
a good
do that.
idea though. Use the foil on the laminator as the laminate, and then just send your tonered sheet through there and see if you can get it to stick.
Right.
I think you can bring your temperatures up a little more safely on a laminator as well.
Right.
Hey, we're attempting to try that today, but I think my concern is that it's we're sleeking at I think at 220 degrees, and I think that may melt the JETvarnish. But we're back there working on it, so I may have an answer to that by the end of the day.
What's
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna ask you, Ken. What's the best temperature you think to hit that varnish with?
Well, I think those transfer layers are going to melt much over 190, 200 degrees. I mean, in my experience, if you end up having to slow it down and then overheat it, and it wrinkles and that transfer layer starts to melt, especially under any kind of pressure. So
Right.
I would think that your limitation isn't going to be the polymer on the JETvarnish. It's probably going to be the transfer layer on the foil.
So Al, make sure, like when we're talking Celsius, maybe make sure you get like a JETvarnish compatible foil and try to hit it at between like 115 to 130 Celsius. Is that a good range, guys? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
A little higher, a little lower?
I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe the new MGI foils and the ones that Konica is selling, which I believe is also the MGI foil, they're trying to get that temperature down to close to 100 Celsius now, and you can get transfer.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on sleeking, but if you're able to drop 35 or 40 degrees on JETvarnish work, you should be able to drop 35 or 40 degrees on sleeking work as well. Just don't know what it's going to take to melt that toner.
Yeah. Well, again, we're trying to get to stick to just the varnish and not to the toner. That's the whole trick on this one.
Actually,
So,
Ken, with your comment, this was printed on Versant Press, on a Xerox press.
yeah.
And the Christmas card was printed on Konica 6100.
Yeah.
and they require different temperatures.
Right.
The sticking is easier on the Versant, and it's higher on the Konica.
Right.
Gerardo,
Yeah.
are you aware? Are you aware on your image tab you can up the solid coverage to 130% in your image? Yeah, I think it's your image tab, and
Okay.
put a little bit more toner down, and then you don't have to have your temperature up quite as high. So,
Okay,
do you,
good
do
tip.
you use a full CMYK build on that, or do you grayscale those images on the
No,
toner?
it's just black. It's just black because there are different tones of gold, which is I found it very interesting. Solid gold, medium gold, true grays here,
Mm,
and
interesting.
with just the sticking.
Very
We
impressive.
found very useful to use the JETvarnish as a pass-through sticker in an emergency.
Yeah, for sure. I know somebody else who's done that. Ken, you jerry rigged an envelope feeder to your iFoil. Oh, tell them the story. Tell them the story. I mean, I'm not saying, MJ would probably kill me for saying
I
this.
just took a bottom feed stream feeder and put it in the middle between the iFoil and the imaging unit, and slowly fed them onto those green belts and stamped the envelopes. It's not super fast because you have to leave a gap or the iFoil gets confused. But we were able to start producing a lot of foil envelopes that we could then put back through the Konica and imprint, or we also had a inkjet machine as well that we could inkjet the addresses on afterwards. So it was kind of nice. You didn't take variable product and having to put it through and foil the envelopes. We just did all the personalization afterwards, so the waste was minimally zero. It was literally zero. So you might want to try it. I don't recommend 185 degrees on that roller, that foil roller, stamping in certain spots of a number 10 envelope. I believe there's 4 thicknesses.
Yeah.
It may prematurely wear that roller, but a little project here and there never hurts anybody.
Sure. Well, speaking of rollers, do you guys buy new ones or do you get them resurfaced? What's the best way you guys have figured out on that? What did you do?
What did I do when I damaged it? I got a new one, but
Yeah.
I had heard afterwards that Pomarco will actually put new EDPM rubber on that roller. So I guess you definitely have to have a second one no matter what, so you have a core to send in. But it is more comforting to know that you can get it for a fifth the price.
Right. That's good to know.
But you always have to buy that first one.
Yeah. The good consumables and the bad consumables, right? Depending on the job. Very cool. All right.
What other foil brands are you guys using?
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them? Have anybody used the cracked ice or the specialty foils and had good luck with those?
Do you know where to get those? Here in Mexico, we don't have any option on transparent security.
Crown will sell them, but they don't. They really want you to have a heavy commitment. So unless they've got an end run roll left on the shelf, which I suggest you do, call your Crown rep and say, do you have any left, any runoffs, any extras? Because obviously you only need a 12-inch roll. You could probably even buy with an 11-inch roll. And sometimes they'll sell you a 1,500-foot roll of extras that they actually cut off when they manufactured it. So that's one. But the other part of it is I think they want you to commit to at least $1,000 worth, which on small projects can be a little challenging.
Well, we're hearing anywhere from 30 to 60,000 feet minimum for custom orders. So one of the ideas that I think who had this idea at the last meeting, I think
it was Adam.
It was Adam. Adam had a great idea because he was trying to get an LSU purple foil, and he didn't need to order 30, 40,000 feet of LSU purple foil. One of the things we could do through the JETforce, I don't know what you guys think, is eventually start maybe like a little section inside the site where we can do group purchases. So let's say somebody wants to, hey guys, I want to do some clear see-through. Who wants to go in on this rolls with me or this custom run with me? We get 3 or 4 people to jump in and then and split it up that way. Could be a great use of this community to create grouped orders where you don't necessarily need the 40 or 60,000 feet.
And I would also recommend you try those foils if you can. They're semi-transparent, so they take away all of the things that you fight in a normal run. because you could, if you get a little pinhole or you get a little fly, you'll never notice it. It adds dramatic impact to a piece without a lot of stress. And everybody I showed products to after we did it, they not only wanted it, but they wanted it again and again and again. So that's, I mean, what's better than something easy that provides dramatic impact? I mean, there's a moneymaker for you right out of the box.
Yeah. Well,
Can I-
yeah. Go.
So, on our conversation yesterday, Kevin, so we were thinking about maybe getting some, and we're definitely one of the guys, we don't have the iFoil or anything like that. So we have the JETvarnish, but we also have a Nobella Sleeker, which does do silver and gold foil. And so we're trying to figure out the best way to make that kind of work. And then Adam, I guess, so my first question was the production of the Notre Dame piece that you had there. It's Adam, right?
Yeah.
So that was, you said you flooded that with gold foil. You came back and laminated it with soft touch. Then you came back and laid the blue foil down and then JETvarnish, that blue Notre Dame foil. And then at that point, was that it? Or did you apply another laminate on top?
That's it.
That's it. So, okay. So I guess like maybe without having the iFoil or something, like maybe our workflow, and I'm throwing this out there just asking if this is the way that y'all would see that, but maybe we would flood that if we were going to try and do something similar. We'll flood that sheet with gold foil, soft touch it. We would have to maybe print, some sort of blue that, that would come close to, whatever that color would be, and then come back over and JETvarnish that. And I guess we're kind of seeing when we JETvarnish colors that it makes it look similar to foil, not exactly, but it makes it look similar. So do y'all ever like kind of skip that extra step without using that blue foil and just print and JETvarnish and try to get the same effect? Or is it always kind of on your end, like we're just, if you're trying to go for that, you would just go with like that double foil?
I have personally run goldish PMS colors and then put a lot of varnish over the top of it. And you're right, in many instances that would work. Where I would question what you're trying to achieve is over soft touch. If you're going to use soft touch laminate, I don't know that the gold toner is ever going to look shiny enough for you, but it's certainly worth a try.
I guess
I have an idea for you, Andrew. So try this. So you have a sleeker, right?
yes.
So print 100% black on a sheet.
Right.
Run that through your sleeker and have the gold stick to that. So now you have a gold sheet.
Right.
Put soft touch on top of it. Print black back on top of the soft touch.
Can you do
And
that?
run it through your Nobellus with just blue foil instead of the gold foil, so it sleeks the blue on there. And then varnish around everything on top of the blue, around the blue, whatever you want. It's probably the best way to kind of copy. That's what I'm thinking.
The toner on top of a laminate wouldn't diffusing melt it?
It works. It works.
I don't
No
know.
kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it works. Depending on how thick your laminate is, but yeah, I know people that's the whole business model behind like Vivid lamination and all their stuff, is that they're printing black toner on top of laminate, so that the foil only sticks to those areas, and that's the rest of the toner.
Actually, on this card, we printed on the laminate,
Exactly.
and then we varnished the.
Don't listen to the manufacturers when they tell you you can't.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, you got to push.
Wow.
So Andrew, just I'll chime in on what you said. A lot of the times we do get, especially if, we have clients that are like, hey, we want black foil. We say, okay, but all we do is we print, solid black, maybe double hit the black, and then put spot varnish on that. And
It looks the same.
it's the exact same thing as black foil. I mean, you won't tell a difference, but.
Dude, that's what I think, just with the equipment that we have. And I mean, like Al had mentioned, we're definitely trying a bunch of different things, but at least to me, one of the most appealing is that the JETvarnish can go down on a specific, any type of color, and potentially make it look a little bit more like a foil than it does just like jet varnish. So I think that is what's really kind of,
Especially if you double hit that one color.
throw some feelers out with my customers and see like, what's your thoughts on this? Because we don't do, foil stamping or embossing or anything like that in house. And so, but I'm kind of trying to maybe, do enough tests with that to feel comfortable about, saying like, hey, yeah, we don't do foil stamping in house, but we can just do a spot color and then varnish that spot color. It could be on our next press or KM1, and then go about it that way. So, okay.
Yeah, exactly. On your next press, do you have metallic toners as well or no?
Not that I know of, but a way around that we have done in the past, at least for a couple of my clients, is just printing on metallic paper.
Yeah. So that's the same thing. If you print onto metallic paper and then just put varnish on top of the ink, that'll give you a very similar effect to foil. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Good to, I'll keep that.
Or at least, I'm sorry, a metallic foil.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. Does anybody else on this call have a Nobelus sleeker?
I'm familiar with it. I've used it. I've played with one. Might be able to help you. What questions?
Well, the only question I have, I heard you guys talking about different foils you're buying, and what we have done is the only foils we're getting from Nobelus. I wonder if there's other kind of foil out there that might be different and unique that Nobelus doesn't sell but would work on our machine.
Well, it sounds like regular foils are working, but I know those Lux foils that I believe you're buying from Nobelus, which they're the cream of the crop. They're top of the line. So I think you may end up with some. You're going to go through a learning curve, I think, if you try anybody else's with those kind of heat ranges.
Hey, we're happy with what they're selling us. I just because we're somewhat this is becoming a big part of what we do, but it hasn't been in the past. I just want to make sure I hadn't missed something because, you guys have a lot more experience at this than we do, and but we're really going all out on this thing now.
I will ask a few of the people that I have a good relationship with if they know of another product for you. So maybe I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
Well, I remember back when I was at MGI, that's how we figured out that we can make an iFoil. Is we put jet varnish through a sleeker, which was a laminator, and we just had to change the foil formulation and find the right foils that stuck based on the makeup of the varnish that we were putting down. So if it doesn't stick, it's probably due to the type of foil that you're using. So a sleeking foil may not necessarily stick to varnish. If that's what you're also going to be testing, you're going to want a varnish foil that you could put into your sleeker. So keep that in mind, I think.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know for me, I know Kerr's has a really low release point, and it sounds to me like you might need to get a roll of Kerr's gold or silver or something and give that a shot, because Kerr's will stick to. I run an indigo, and Kerr's will stick to an indigo unless I am way low on heat and no pressure. So that might be a good one to try out.
And I've taken a good hard look at the machine that Kerr's is producing to put foil on with. It's very similar in technology to actually what the Nobelus is. So it probably would work well. If I had to gamble on one, then that would be the one I would gamble on.
Yeah. You might want to reach out to Kerr's. They have easy foil, and I think that do you guys agree that typically when it comes to foil, you get what you pay for? Is that really one of those things that, like, when you pay more, you get easier foil or more consistency roll to roll, or?
Yeah.
No.
Actually, coming to Adam's comment last time on purple, we had some dots on crown foil. The rolls weren't good; they weren't releasing, so we throw one out, one from Infinity too. But the purple, it's very tricky. We tested it, and the only time that it worked, I didn't have my samples today, sorry. It's when it's a metallic sheet or laminated sheet. On the other ones, they won't release it until it's 90% curing, or you have to play with the curing because the foil, it's very, it won't release it. Precisely the purple that we were just commenting last time.
Interesting.
Did you say you got a purple from Infinity as well?
No, Infinity, yeah, actually, it's reducing its number of colors. I don't know why, but the problem with Infinity foils is that they require more temperature. The Curse crown, they have lower, but Infinity it's higher, so it's more difficult. But we found out that with our Xerox printer that the Infinity foiled the toner parts too. So we found out that way that we could use the JETvarnish as a laminate, as a sneaker too. Actually, I don't think that they have a very different formula for the toner to the MGI ones. So we are just using less Infinity foil and more crown foil.
And Gerardo, to speak to what you just mentioned, I would strongly suggest you guys ask or try the one that Konica and MGI are letting loose now, because I was able to get toner adhesion about a year ago with that formula at 86.
Wow.
No way.
I don't know that I would run it at that temperature. I think eventually throughout a run you're going to lose a little bit, but just to know you could possibly be up in the mid 90s only, it's so much better for that layer that we're trying to melt, and it was fantastic. I was really super excited to see such low temperatures. So
that's crazy.
You might want to try that. I know it's not your first source, but I think that MGI. If you look at shop-foil.mgilabs.com, you'll see that product there, and you might want to give it a try.
If you can put the link, please, because
Sure,
here in Mexico we have to go through some providers. But the idea from Adam from the last time that we pool resources to buy serious loads of foil, so we can participate in that pooling, sounds great.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So I think Ken's putting that into the chat so that everybody has access to it. Any other questions? We have anybody running into some issues or discover something new that we want to share, or something that we're trying to overcome? And now's the place to ask, really. Anything in mind?
Yeah, I have one question is that, once again, we're somewhat new at this, and we want to create a lookbook. And I guess the question I have is, I think it's going to take us a while to do it, because we don't really, I guess I could talk to Novelis and maybe to the JETvarnish folks, but I would love to have somebody maybe give me a list of every effect I should put in that lookbook. I mean, we can probably come up with a bunch of them, but it's going to be trial and error. Is there a source for something like that?
Swatch books, actually, from the manufacturers, contain many examples. I've seen some impressive ones from MGI, from Curse, from even Scotix. Once they provide you with samples that you can try, but the best ones I have seen are like double-sided examples that you can show your customers that you don't have the effect of the engraving, so you can do both sides without showing, and the use of color and overprint.
Right. So Al, I could send you the files for the lookbooks that I created back when I was at MGI. I think I still have those files I could send you to get you started. Number two, I think what Gerardo just said, I just want to make sure you really picked up on it, is, and I think a lot of people who've been out there selling it do it this way. When you do like a sample or you do anything that has embellishment on it and you're trying to upsell it, you're always going to want to say, look, this is what it looks like with and without, with and without, with and without, so that people can really see the difference. Say, oh yeah, that's really worth the extra whatever that you're charging. So being able to show just how boring it looks like without the embellishment compared to how sexy it looks with the embellishment has worked for, I think, a lot of clients that are out there. I don't know. Do you guys agree or disagree? There's just a little.
Yeah, I agree. You definitely. And when we created ours, we did a saddle stitch, or not a saddle stitch, but a spiral bind, and the left side was just printed, and the right side was embellished. That way they were side by side, and I felt like it had a little more impact than the flip over.
Hey, that's a great idea. And yeah, Kevin, I'd love to get those files if you could send them. But I do love the spiral bound with one left page being print, the other one being embellished. That's super.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Is it shows value, I think, right? It shows the value of what it could look like.
Yeah.
So it gets people dreaming. Yeah.
I always said, how long have you been looking at that right side and you forgot about the left side? And people were like, oh,
Well,
you know.
exactly. Ken, the link you sent me is not opening. Did I get that wrong on there?
I don't think so. That's what I have written down. So let me see. Well, I'll put a post up in the operator forum with the correct address. Looking at before.
All right, we'll figure that out. Adam, you had a question, it looked like, on something that you needed help with.
Yeah, Ken, probably for Ken mainly, I'm guessing. So when do you know that your foil roller is getting old and you need to replace it? What are the signs?
Well, you just did one of the signs, and that is flood coat, because you'll find out real quickly if you've got a low spot. Typically, the center tends to get beat. So sometimes running things a little bit off center if you need a little bit more pressure out on the ends, because let's face it, the heat and the cold from job after job is going to change how much that roller expands. But if you just did the flood coat like you did and it came out that awesome, you are in great shape. I think it was about 4 years before I finally started to see some wear and tear, and it was from the center because I did envelopes. So it was sort of operator induced.
Good to know.
How did you bypass the sensors on the sides? You just put it automatically?
Are you talking about the light bar?
On the light bar on the 3DS, because some of my younger operators, they want to look and they stop the machine. They are not. We are not able to disable them, and the text say it's impossible.
We used to do it for demos all the time. I don't know how we did it though. Did you disable the light bar, or did your machine was so early you didn't have a light bar? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the invisible light curtain that if all of a sudden you put your hand in to change a foil, it would stop the machine?
It stops.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Yellow. It's like a yellow. It's like a yellow bar with like a photo looking surface.
It's an infrared sensor that it becomes interrupted. The machine stops.
There's a way. I don't think my machine has it, but there's got to be a way.
You just tape a mirror to the top, just like Mission Impossible it. I'm sure there's a wire we could snip that nobody would know any better. I'm just kidding. Please, that's a joke. Don't anybody snip any wires on your machines. Yeah, no, that's a good question, Ken. How did you get around that? Do you remember?
What? I didn't have a light curtain on mine.
No, that came later.
That's why.
I mean, obviously, I took the key off the front door of the iFoil, but we don't want to talk about that either. But I didn't have a light curtain. I think my sensors were actually the same infrared LEDs that are probably on the machine today.
Yeah, that's.
And I sent the corrected link, guys. It should be in the chat now.
Yeah, I just clicked on it. Very cool. Yeah, this is all new. I had never seen this before. That's
No.
very cool. Yeah, because I know MGI invested in foil making equipment, so they're going to start doing that for their clients to do really specific, easy foil for the JETvarnish. So that's definitely something that we can look at.
I think you definitely still want to go through the learning curve of learning all the different manufacturers, because there's going to be a time when a customer is going to ask you to do something. You're going to need a special effect foil, and you need to be on your game. And
Right.
most of you already are. And but if it can get easier, and you can walk away from a machine and have a less skilled operator watch a job because you know that foil is going to stick great. Definitely for maybe some of your standard golds and silvers and standard colors, you want to have that in stock. So
That's a great point, Ken.
Yep.
Very cool. Anything else? Any other questions we wanted to cover in today's session?
Wrinkling.
Yes, wrinkling.
How do you get past some materials we actually, because of the coverage, I don't know, the speed, it's an issue. What can we do to avoid wrinkling? And particularly when we try to save foil on the system that the machine has.
I think one of the big things when it comes to foil, and I don't know how many of you guys experiment with this, but pressure is a huge deal. You're not going to be able to run a 130-pound cover stock like you are an 80-pound cover stock. I don't know how many of you take that right toggle switch and engage the foil roller when the roller is hot, and actually drag a sheet of paper through that pressure on both the back of the machine and the operator side, and check to make sure that your pressure is the same on both sides. Because if it's not, and that foil saver kicks backwards, you're going to get a wrinkle a lot. So pressure is huge. And obviously going with the lowest temperature possible, because that plastic that the foil is on is pretty rough. It doesn't want heat. So lowering your temperature is huge. And sometimes you want to go slow because you want great foil adhesion, but sometimes fast is better. Sometimes a good kick through there is much better. Also on your foil saver, go a little longer than you're trying to foil. You don't want it to kick back too soon. You want to make sure it's rolled out, it's released, then it kicks back. Sometimes it starts to kick back because you're trying to get that gap. What is it, like 50 millimeters is about as small as you can go? You don't want to, you might want to make it 80. I know you want to save foil, but you need it to be sure that first sheet peels off so that when you're yanking back, you're not still adhering to the sheet in front.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
That's a really good tip, Ken.
And also that release roller, it's made of aluminum. It's after the pressure roller. Make sure that you don't have too much pressure on that. I know a lot of people have come to my operators have it so tight to the sheet of paper that they're running that's creating the wrinkle. So you need to have that at least a mil off of the sheet so that the foil comes off easy, and you don't also have that causing a wrinkle.
Okay, it's a great tip too. Perfect.
All right, guys. Well, we went 14 minutes over. I think this is a good conversation. We can keep going if you guys have more stuff to talk about. We're all here. Is there any other questions or any comments or any ideas for next session? Maybe we can focus on for next month's operator meetup.
I just want to, I hope this shows. One client asked me to make his card, and it's 9-point black foil on laminate.
Wow.
So the machine can do it.
What laminate did you use to do that?
Actually, this is Plike paper from
Plike. So what's cool about Plike and a lot of these, I think really was it high dyne or low dyne surfaces, is that the varnish, when it hits, it just kind of sucks right back in and allows you to get away with fine details like that.
Yeah, but the salesman was astonished that we could make 9-point font work.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you? Has anybody? I tried 2 days ago. We have a flood UV coater.
Yeah.
and somebody wanted a black flooded card with gold foil, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. It's the most incredible foil I've ever seen on a flood coated sheet.
Again,
I've got tiny quotation marks that are perfect.
that's what I was saying. If you have, and I forget, in my mind, I'm just confused if it's high or low dyne, but usually like the best details we've ever gotten is going varnish on top of like plastics or on top of lamination, or sometimes UV. So UV on top of UV, because the details, instead of spreading, really stand up, and that gives you that definition that you want. So, you know, that's exactly what Gerardo's experience is. Sometimes UV on top of UV gives you fantastic results.
And this goes out to Al. Al, I'm sorry, bud.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to remind all you guys, and especially Al, every one of these foil manufacturers will send you a sample roll.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be afraid to ask them for it. Let one of your operators play all day with the machine till you find one that's.
Yeah.
I understand that if it can be a third the price, it can really add up over time.
Yeah. So Al, you want to call Kurz, Infinity, API, Crown, K Laser, and Konica, and say, send me some free foil. I want to do some tests, and they'll, yes sir. Usually they'll ask you what machine you have, tell them, and then they'll send you the right reference.
Sounds great. We'll do it.
Guys, I'm going to bump off. I got my next meeting. So thank you guys.
Adam, it was awesome to see you, man. Great job on that Notre Dame piece. Really proud of you, buddy.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you guys.
See you guys. All right, guys. Well, I think that's the end of the meeting. If you guys have any questions, please just jump onto the website. We have forums that are open for you guys to talk amongst yourselves. If you want to share videos of stuff that you've done, or pictures, or just have a question, don't hesitate. That's what it's there for, right? We're there to help. And I'd like to really thank Ken for hosting today's session. Ken, great job on really bringing your technical expertise. And we hope to see you guys next month for the July operator meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See you guys.